Good evening, and thank you for being a part of my virtual opening at Pomo Arts at the Canadian Pacific Gallery in British Columbia, Canada. Hi, my name is Garrett Andrew Chong, and I'm a mixed media artist. Today's exhibition is called Seeing Anew, Earthly Presence, Beholding the Beauty of the World Beyond the News. I'm truly grateful to be here today and to share this experience with you. I'm a fourth generation Chinese Canadian. I was born in British Columbia, Canada. I went to Emily Carr College of Art and Design in the mid-80s, and I graduated with honors in graphic design and fine art photography. As a youth, I found that visual communications and visual art became a natural expression for me as a sign of emotional intelligence. Over the past 35 years, my photography and mixed media work has evolved through spiritual influences. These influences have included sacred teachings, samatha meditation, as well as hatha yoga. This has helped me rely on my imagery and my artwork for much more of a spiritual journey inward. Excursions to my ancestral ruins in China helped me forge a more spiritual path with my artwork. I've been to different places in the world, specifically Southeast Asia, where this is called Anew. And I found that going to these different places of high spiritual intelligence was able to build a much stronger base for me as an artistic expression. I've been to Peru, to Machu Picchu, to 4 of the 7 wonders of the world, as well as I've been to the natural wonders of America, going down. We drove all the way from here all the way down to Sedona. We did this primarily as a way of just talking to people. We didn't go on, TripAdvisor. We didn't use different technologies. We just went to little cafes, talked to people, and we found these beautiful, spectacular places of wonder. This is the spiritual valley, the sacred valley up in Peru. It's 5,000 meters above sea level. And it is an extraordinary place. So you're barely breathing. You're basically doing a meditative walk all the way through. The 13th century poet and sage, Rumi, he was a Persian poet. He probably encapsulated my art purpose the best, where he said, "Let the beauty of what you love be what you do." Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. I mean, how beautiful is that to have that in your life? And I love this. I love working. I love traveling. I love photographing. I love bringing these stories back to the people. And there's so much today now. We're living in a pandemic and we can't travel. So hopefully you can make your way over to the Pomo Art Center and you can view traveling through this virtual exhibition. Before I begin talking about the exhibition, I'd like to first off thank Janice and the Pomo Art staff, Caitlin and my friend Koji, for helping build this experience together here. I think Pomo Arts has been an amazing job of what they've done to build their brand as the City of the Arts. What is the exhibit about? The exhibit is about the interconnection of oneness. What does that mean? It means that it's not two. The global pandemic has shown us that we are not two. We're all one. We're all unified under one umbrella. And a lot of the pieces that we're doing here and we're showing here today is that you'll see 2 different elements and why this connection between this element and this element, or this element and this element. And you'll have to combine and see. Because the simple fact is that what we're trying to do is build the interconnection of an icon with a prose, which is a piece of wording or poetry, as well as a landscape. So we're trying to take different icons, different places in the world. This is Anew. This is a spiritual protector in Southeast Asia, specifically Bali. And this is a religious cross that's in the valley of Montserrat in Catalonia. As you can see the aura around the mountains here. This is all shot in camera. This is all shot with a specialized technique that we developed over time, a period of time. And what I wanted to do is try to connect the 2 elements together. Yes, they are different places in the world. Yes, they are different symbols, but they share the same common bond. And that bond is the oneness that we all have as a people. And we've certainly seen that bond created with the pandemic that has just occurred and how we're all connecting together as one unit and one people. When I was working with Janice, we wanted to talk about stories. What are the stories that make your artwork different? What stories are woven into the pieces? Stories are often ways of understanding art, of understanding parables, the way of understanding how we want to focus the artwork and how to build the artwork. So the stories that we've woven through all these pieces are stories of light. Light as in photography. Often as a photographer, we use light as a composition, we use it as color, we use it as creating mood. Light can help you create any mood that you would like to see. Also, light illuminates, so we're using that as a parable. The second parable would be light as a life force. the sunlight. Sunlight, even the sunlight in this room was able to illuminate the objects that are around. But light can also take a life, but light can also give a life. So we're trying to use light as an aspect of that as well. And the third parable that we would want to use is light as in spiritual practice. In spiritual practice, there's a term that many of you might know. It's called namaste. And namaste basically means, to some people it means I bow to you, or I bow to the divine in you. But to me, the parable that works the best is light means the light in me honors the light in you. So before we begin the exhibition and the artist talk and virtual opening, I'd like to do the little moment. A few of my friends actually recently passed away, and I'd like to do this for them. This is a singing bowl, and it is also the sound of the universe. So if we're going to go talk about some art, and I'd like to start with this piece specifically here. It's called Ascension. Ascension was done, this is Antelope Canyon down in Utah, in the US, and this is a tree stump up in Brandywine Falls. So as we talked about before, I'm working with juxtapositions, juxtaposing two different elements together, two different locations in the world. And this piece is sort of, to me, it seems to be more like a cavity of light. Cavity of light that comes through, much like a birth and death. Very much so in Western culture, we don't talk about death. Death is something that was hidden. In Eastern culture, it's very much prevalent. I wanted to show them the majesty of death, and also the aspect of how you blend elements that come through, like birth, death, almost like a cycle. So I've tried to blend the images together as one. Some people ask me how I blended them, why did I pick those two images? They kind of just speak to you after a while. How they speak to you is that how they blend together and they work together. As a past graphic designer, I have that ability to also be able to work with what's called generated line. So that's when it comes at you and you flow through, and it comes through again and again. This particular piece is called Radiant. It was in Machu Picchu. If you ever go to Machu Picchu, everybody lines up at 3:30 in the morning on the side of the street. Everybody wants the morning light, the God light, but there's also light at the end of the day. 2,500 people go to Machu Picchu a day. There are 8 people there, because that's shot in the afternoon. We went to Machu Picchu 4 times, and one day I just spent all day there just looking at the light. So the idea is that when you go to these places of spiritual significance, of high spiritual intelligence, they work with the light, the color, the aura, they work with spiritual practice, they work with astrology. But when you come back from these places, you're forever changed. You're ever changed if you ever see the birth of a child or a death of a loved one, you're forever changed. So when you go to these places of spiritual significance, I find that you see things differently. This is just a roadside flower that's on Brandywine Falls, same location. But I probably would not have seen that if I hadn't gone to this place. So why did I blend them together? What's the relationship between the two? Because some people think these flowers are indigenous to this piece. Basically, they have the same feeling. They have flow. Again, generated line, energy in, energy out, blossom, awakening, awareness. Awareness to the beauty that's around you. Van Gogh did his whole life. There's a huge exhibit down in Vancouver currently right now. And it's all about walking into his life. And his life was about 500 square feet. That was his whole life. So there's so much beauty that's around us as a whole. So that was the idea behind seeing beauty, earthly presence. This is in the same location as Ascension. And that's down in basically Antelope Canyon down in Utah. I've sold 2 of those, 3 of these. And what I like really about this piece is there's such an evocative nature to this. It's almost sexual in some sense. And it's almost like erotic art. But the thing is, there's an attraction that the flower is pulled to this feeling. And I wanted to be able to show that and to show the beauty of the shape. And also to show the light coming through. And there's the aura again. This aura is all generated. I did not generate this in Photoshop. This is all generated through the camera. This piece is called Wisdom. These are the rice fields of Southeast Asia. Through the technique that we're utilizing right now, you can see the stillness here, but also the motion here, and sort of descending into. What I liked about the piece a lot was the fact that this woman had recently died. She was with her husband for 70 years. Imagine being with someone for 70 years, what a beautiful love. And she was able to have this beauty and presence about her. A lot of people took photographs of her and her husband, but I asked her to take her for a walk down the path, and I asked her to look back at her husband. And that's the aspect, you know, death is over your left shoulder, or your right shoulder for that matter. But death is over your shoulder, it's always present, it's always there. And she looked back at her husband and sort of smiled, and it was a great, great, great moment in time. Descending layers heighten our awareness, prepare us for the final journey home. Spaces are felt with each harvest, and places are honored and exchanged. What remains are only impressions of past cycles. This piece is called Sacred Heart. It was a piece that I shot down in Muzente, Mexico, at a place called Radaya Yoga. Radaya basically means when you meditate, you're meditating from your heart center, and you're meditating one finger width to your right. That is heart center. So Sacred Heart, I wrote, awakening to awareness, a path towards persistence of meditative bliss. Human forms seek sacred places in the body, emptying spaces in the mind, inspiring traces of stillness at heart center. Ramana Maharshi is who we studied with down in Muzente. It was a 21-day meditation retreat, and it really opened my eyes to the beauty of what is within us as an inward journey. He talked about finding the self in the cave of the heart. Again, we talked about life is 12 inches. Life is 12 inches from your mind to your heart. And when you're meditating for long periods of time, there's a blissfulness that you get in your life, and you're almost always attracted to having that within your life in all aspects of wholeness. So I really enjoyed having this piece, and I know specifically that so many women meditate that men do. And it's very strange because the feminine in life is something that's really missing. And I think that's something that's why we represent 3 women here, because it was reflective of who was there. There was, I think, 2 or 3 men that were there, but the rest of the people were women. And even in yoga class, it's 95% women. So I think embracing that feminine quality in all aspects of mankind is something that the earth desperately needs. And we need a prayer right now. So we need a Sacred Heart. This piece is called Not To. Why not to? I wrote here, a centerless interconnection of oneness. A centerless interconnection of oneness. A human search for being, not to. So you represent, you'll see, you know, a feather, which was in Galiano Island, and this megalith. There's these megaliths in Evora. We just found them. We were traveling through Portugal, and we asked about what sacred sites there would be available. And there was this beautiful sacred site in this garden, and you'll see it in the pieces over here as well. But this was this massive monolith. All these monoliths were placed in specific areas around the world. But this was, I think, 2,000 years before Stonehenge, and everybody knows Stonehenge. So these pieces were shot, they were shot with the same technique of HDR. And I really wanted to be able to show the centerlessness. Yes, there's a center which is here, but also there's a centerless of weight. So if you visually put weight down, you can see the piece would tilt. And that was the idea. So the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, black and the white, the interconnection of the 2 elements working together is one. And it's very much, I see the way the world needs to be more structured towards. It's a piece that I hold very close to my heart, and it's a piece that has a certain sense of vibration to it as well, and how it blurs out of focus, but it's also sharp, but it's also very, very phallic as well, but also the aspect of beauty, how they interrelate with each other. Even the colors they blended. I didn't put these colors there, they were there, that I found them in camera, and I hope you come and see it. This piece is called Meditating in Art, the art of viewing. If you've ever been to the Eastside Culture Crawl, you might have come by my studio down at 89 Gore Avenue down in Vancouver, in Railtown. The reason we did this piece is we wanted to have people, most people spend about 5 seconds with a piece of art. They'll sit and look at the art, they'll look at the art for about 1, 2, 3, and then 4 or 5, they'll look at the label and they'll move to the next piece. What we wanted to do is have people stop, take a conscious breath, and meditate into the art. So some people don't know how to meditate or don't know the instructions to meditate, so we put this together. And it basically has a 5-step process of how to do it. This is called a Tadasana pose. This actual image was also shot in the Valley of Fire down in Nevada. Spectacular place. It was shot at sunset. It has the aura that we talked about. It has the life force of the sun, and it has the spiritual practice. And we really wanted to have people grounded, so we played a meditation as well, and we had incense burning, and we had singing bowls. And we had all these people standing there meditating into the art. And some people really felt they were there. Some people felt very lifted by it. And I think it's something that we can all practice in daily life. Often we are driving in our car, but we're in the meeting. We're in the meeting, but we're in the grocery store. We're in the grocery store, but we're doing dishes. We're doing dishes, but we're putting the kids to bed. Our life is overwhelmed. And I think if we can just take those conscious breaths, slow the pace down, enjoy what we're seeing, and you'll feel more enriched in life. And I think that's part of the process of my art practice as well. Feel that connection. This piece is called Forever Now. Why Forever Now? Because often we talk about being in the here and now. This was shot in Bayon Temple in Angkor Wat. It is a spectacular complex of 200 plus temples. And what was so beautiful about it is that it was only discovered, I think, in the late 60s, mid 60s, so it's relatively recent. There are, I do believe, 54 of these Buddha heads, towering Buddha heads, and they represent the 54 provinces of the country at that time. A lot of people don't see the Buddha head. It's kind of funny, but I like that. I like the fact that it's almost like a paradox. This is a flower. This is a local flower that was done up in Brandywine Falls. As you can see, the aura is attached here. The technique is, and why is it here? I mean, people ask me, what does it mean? And I said, well, what do you see? When you have that peacefulness, when you have that sort of blissed out quality about yourself, you could have a run, you could feel like that, you could see the birth of a child, you feel like that, or you could just feel like that just by having a really nice meal. But the idea is that once you have that, you create a sense of awareness within your body and within your mind. And the flower is meant to be awareness. So once you have tasted a glimpse of, let's say, enlightenment or a glimpse of that awareness, it's always with you. It tends to open. Like as children, when you're born, your mind is very broad. The world is very broad, but as you age, it closes in and closes in and closes in with life and trouble and mortgage. They say the people that are the furthest away from God are people in middle age because they have the mortgages. It's the youth and the elderly. And I'm becoming one of those elderly. So the idea is that to be able to have that awareness within your life and to have that presence, and that's what the flower is. The flower is the presence that the Buddha has constantly. So I'll quickly just read a little parable that goes with it. The flowering of consciousness occurs in awareness before thought. Sacred places in ancient ruins, expansive places of indigenous flowers, resulting traces of presence between the two. Not two, one. One thought, one feeling, one result.
All right.
This piece is called Portals. It was shot from different places from around the world. This is the first time I've showed it as a unit, as a series. I wrote down here a glimpse, an opening, a pause. Portals may arise when we become more open and more unattached to our past sufferings and future uncertainties. So our past sufferings and future uncertainties often block the way that we see a world through. During the COVID pandemic, a lot of people said that, they joked about when I posted these on Instagram that they need a portal. And we all do. We all need an escape. We all need a portal. But once you start seeing certain portals, we talked before about glimpses, and you see this glimpse. So there's a reason why I'm walking through these different places around the world, whether it's Chilliwack, or whether this is Bali, or whether this is Alhambra, Spain, or Croatia, or Angkor Wat, or Vietnam. You see these senses, and I don't know why I shot them. I just felt like the need to shoot them, and I'll figure it out later. And I felt that basically at the end of the day, when they all come together as one unit, it's quite interesting to see how the relationships relate between each one of the pieces. Portals ask us to listen to the voice of our heart and wonder in the present. I've often really enjoyed the aspect of one analogy of one sage I gave a speech about, if your life, I'm born in 1962, and there's a dash, and say I die in hopefully 2062. 1962 to 2062, I'll live to 100 years old. But life is not about start and death. It's about the dash. It's about how our dash is seen, whether the dash is seen this way or the dash is seen this way. So it's the different angles of what you look at. And I really found that with portals, it gave me the opportunity to explore what's in that dash. And life is in that dash. And to be able to explore and go much further into the different spiritual teachings of these different places. This particular place here is called Alhambra. It's in Granada, Spain, and it is a spectacular site of such religious significance of all the mosaics and all the different cultures that built this place. This is actually in Croatia, in Solina. This is actually, if you ever watch the Game of Thrones, when you see Ares, what's her name? Ares, Khaleesi, when she releases the slaves, this was shot there. And this is an anchor. This is the Buddhist, beautiful, beautiful piece. It's an actual hallway. This was shot in Bryce Canyon. This was shot in Antelope Canyon. This was shot in Vietnam. And this was shot in Evora. It's called the Valley of Bones, or the Chapel of Bones. And it just had a glowing quality to them, and I tried to set them all center and have a quality aspect to them. We're selling them as individual units, and we're also selling them as one piece. We'll give a discount if you buy all the pieces, because they go together as one large unit. This piece, and I have a lot of people comment on this piece, this was shot up in Chilliwack. I think it was called the Three Sisters. Sisters of trees up there. But it had this quality when I walked by it, kind of like talked to me, it kind of pulled me in. It was a portal. And often we talk about portals in spiritual practice as well, that transpose us to somewhere else in our life. Some are different, some are worse, some are better. This piece is called One People. It is a piece that I thought I would generate for the people I've met in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is such a spectacular place to go. The openness that they have, and the love that they have, and the attachment that they have. This piece is called Mother's Love. This piece is called Childhood. This piece is called Father's Love. Being a father, I mean, it is such a beautiful context. And I can't speak the language, but I also just talk to them. I talk to them with visual languages, visual cues. I asked them if I could take their portrait, and they're all very, very open and honest with it. This person was shot in Lombok. He was a man working on his motorcycle, and I pointed my camera at him, and he just basically, he followed me around, and I shot him, and he was just, look at the open expression, was so stunning. This is the couple that called Golden Treasures. They were married for 70 years. I recently sold a piece like this. This was a woman called Flood Woman, I called her. This was in Hanoi, and she was in Vietnam, and there was a massive flood there, so I took her portrait. As well as these little children in Sask village, it's called. They have this quality about them, this rawness about them, and I really enjoyed shooting those people. This is about reminding me a lot of my childhood. I have two older brothers, so that just that aspect of play. Often we forget how to do that as we get older, as our lives become more narrow and condensed. Just be able to play and to feel free and to hear the voice. I always like to create images that you can hear. And I can hear those kids playing to this day, and we all have that inner child within us, and I think it's important. And often, sometimes we have to go somewhere else in the world to find that. And I found that in Southeast Asia. This piece is called Harmony. I like this piece a lot because of the fact that it has that expressive quality of childhood, as well as it has a ritual. And the ritual, this is called a Karang Sari, and they're Balinese blessings. And what I found so beautiful about them is what more in life that we bless. We all talk about children are our future, children are our purpose in life, and I thought it would be very beautiful to be able to show the brilliance and color of the blessing and the true aspect of children's joy. I always found children's joy never has to be seen in color, it just is. And that's why it's black and white, and this is full vibrant with color. And how they relate to each other. Like there's generated line, the child looks, and they come. So there's that cycle that happens in a lot of the pieces I work with collages. So we want to be able to show that as a love. This piece is called Hymns. It was shot in Staten Island. It's one of the very few pieces in the Seeing of Beauty, Earthly Presence exhibition that is not of 2 locations, it's 1 location. But I thought it was an important piece to show. If you ever go to New York, on the way to the Statue of Liberty, we went to Staten Island, and in Staten Island there's this beautiful envelope, and it's called, I think it's called Envelope. And we just saw this object that was in space, and we went running towards it. And of course, this photographer was shooting all the way down. And then we went inside, and it was this beautiful memorial. And the significance of it is that this used to be the Twin Towers right here. And they're gone. And how does that relate to Nut 2? Well, it's the first time I think a terrorist attack happened for here, and it's something that we all share. We all share that pain and that loss and that grief. And these are the people that were lived on Staten Island at the time, and these are all memorials to them. So I had my friend stand here, and we shot for quite a while. It's a beautiful, beautiful gesture, and also it's a beautiful homage. This piece here is called Ethereal. This was a lot of fun. This is the same place. This is the Sacred Valley. You're 5,000 meters above sea level. Rainbow Mountain is over on this side, and there's probably 1,000 people taking photographs of Rainbow Mountain. But that's not why I went there. I went there to have that peace and tranquility. When I turned around, there was this beautiful photograph of this dog lying there. And I just love the colors of the imagery. People ask me, why did you juxtapose this, which is shot at the PD? It's just shot with an iPhone 4, then I digitized it into a graphic. But what's the relationship between these two? Well, if you've ever been on this ride, and I'm afraid of heights, so I gotta just get freaked out. But if you've been on this ride, everybody's screaming, ah! And after a while, we just accept that we're there and we're afraid, and then we just start breathing, and then it goes silent. So the piece is called Ethereal, so all this silence blows into this valley. The same thing is when a baby is crying, you'll hear a baby crying, they're crying and they're crying, and then all of a sudden they go, and then just stop, and then it's, ah. So hence the term ethereal. Through my travels around the world, I've met so many beautiful souls, so I'd like to dedicate this exhibition to those awakened souls around the world. And you know who you are, and thank you for coming today. I'd like to have a special blessing to a longtime friend and local sage. She's from Port Moody. She's my yoga instructor. Her name is Ava Stone. So thank you, Ava. Thank you for starting the path for me as well. This immersive experience of seeing Anew, Earthly Presence, truly needs to be witnessed live in this spectacular gallery out here in the Pomo Art Center at the Canadian Pacific Gallery. It's here till May 12th. And I think it's really important that you see it live. All the pieces are 4 feet wide, and they're all limited editions of 5. You'll have to check with the gallery to find out what editions they are, but they're here and they're waiting for you to see. If you come out to Port Moody, make a day out of it. I mean, we've got spectacular countryside, there's lush green forests, there's beautiful dog parks, there's Bunsen Lake, there's Balcarra, there's Sasamat Lake. It's a great experience out here to be out in nature, and nature is all around us in the gallery. In the end, as I said before, I'd like to really think about, and you take away, if there's one takeaway that you had today, it would be Buddha's last instructions, and that was make of yourself a light. What does that mean, make of yourself a light? Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the person, be the light, be the lightning rod, be the light force. Whether it's in business, we talk about that. Be the light, be the change, be the person that people go to, be the lightning rod. You can be that person, and you can have that within your life, and you can be that change. You know, you can be that person that stimulates the growth within the organization, or the company, or the art gallery. And honoring the love, light, and truth and beauty, and peace in ourselves, and in one another. As they say, let the light in me honor the light in you. And I believe that. Finally, I've been listening to a lot of one sage that came out of the 60s, Timothy O'Leary. His name is Ram Dass. And he had a phrase which says basically, hold on tightly, let go lightly. And hold on tightly means basically hold on to this moment, this beautiful moment that you're in right now, and let go lightly, which means at the moment of death. As I mentioned, a few people of mine, friends of mine have recently passed away, and Cervantes, fictional character Don Quixote, said, keep death over your left shoulder. So keep present. It's not a morbid thing. It's just about not fearing death. By not fearing death, we tend to really enjoy our life at each moment. So thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate that the time that the gallery has given us today. And namaste.